My name is Sue Harris, and today I'm going to be giving you some quick facts on teenage sleeping habits and why I think it's really important to put a lot of emphasis into healthier sleeping habits at a very important time of your life, especially because of the stress from schoolwork and a lot of big aspirations on the way, and that continuation into adulthood or further educating yourself and starting to work jobs. It can be really detrimental to have to carry unhealthy sleeping habits into that part of your life, and especially at a time where you are starting to become more responsible for yourself. It should be a lot more in the hands of those kids to learn about why it's unhealthy in the things that they do and why certain practices that they have can be very detrimental to their health, because there are a lot of short-term effects that they may be starting to feel, but as well there are a lot of long-term effects that they may not realize until it gets to that point. And this is because of how a lot of younger people, especially teenagers, have a neuroclock that and biological tendencies to want to fall asleep later. It kind of changes as we get older. As the older that we age, the earlier that you want to get to bed. So it's noted that around times like 10:45 and 11 is about when teenage brains start to want to fall asleep, and they usually stay that way until up about 8 in the morning. And it's important talking about the biology, because they might not know these things about themselves, that as they grow these things change. And there's a lot of unhealthy habits and things like how it might be difficult to obtain 8 to 10 hours of sleep. There's a lot of unsureness if they're going to be able to do something like that. And there's a bad mistake that I know that a lot of teenagers make, and I'm also speaking from my own experience within my own unhealthy sleeping habits. So this is something that I think is quite personal to me, and something that I think others should understand. And it's how in the weekends a lot of teens decide that it might be a good idea to sleep in and make for the time, when this actually shifts your master clock in your brain and gives a lot of shift throughout your whole body, as there are organ clocks as well. And when you change the time that you sleep throughout those hours in the weekend, it could change how you feel throughout the rest of the week. And some really detrimental things that can happen because of the schedules that teens are on, especially has to do with memory and learning. Technically, when they sleep a lot better, they tend to perform more accurately in tests and things that have to do with memory. And sleeping allows the brain to rest and refix itself. And something too that has to do with sleeping that we learned a lot about was dreams, and something that most people might not understand is how in the last minutes of your sleep, especially those last 5 minutes, you reach the REM stage, and that is one of the most important stages to reach, as that is the deepest that your sleep will get, and the deepest rest that your brain will get, vice versa. And it's a problem how if you do not get to that point, it can be kind of detrimental, and it could be that the sleep that you got might have not had been the best for you. And this lack of sleep can reduce a lot of abilities for these teenagers to be able to remember things, and to remember especially positive memories. And it causes mainly negative emotions and memories to push over those positive memories, actually, when you don't have healthy sleeping habits. It takes about 2 weeks to fix that without a forced awakening, and that's something that most people may not realize. So it's not just a weekend that it will take to fix that sleep debt. So it's really shocking to know how it can take almost up to 2 weeks to fix those things. So it's not just a weekend that can fix everything. It needs to be an unforced awakening. And there can be a lot of consequences that have to do with things like sleep deprivation, as this can lead to things like suicide and mental illness, and especially if the teenagers are deprived of sleep, it can lead to, or if they already have depression, or if they're using things like drugs and alcohol, can push further the detrimental things that can happen. Especially for teens that are getting less than 8 hours of sleep, on top of when they use things like cigarettes or alcohol or drugs, it can push everything to a very detrimental point. There are also short-term factors like loss of appetite and things like weight gain as well, when your body and your brain is not able to fully put itself to rest. And eventually these can lead to more long-term effects, and it's something that I think more people need to talk about, and it's something that I myself have experienced, and I hope that in time I can work my way towards fixing that. And it's much more important to get all the facts together, and it's something that I think should be advocated for. So thank you. That's my presentation.